I'm Daniel.
I'm Jay-Z.
And this is Just My DIY.
You know, DIYing and crafting can be so expensive, which is why we're really excited about what seems to be the ever-expanding craft section at the Dollar Tree.
Which is where we're heading to pick up some materials and supplies for today's an exquisite wedding craft.
We saw these gorgeous hanging lanterns on Pinterest, but they're definitely from one of those high-dollar resorts doing a destination wedding. And so we wanted to try to recreate them as close as possible using mostly materials from the Dollar Tree.
And maybe a little something extra.
This is the result, and we are so happy with how it turned out. We're going to show you how we made this.
And if you hang around long enough, you might see a few Just My DIY twists on the idea.
We're going to show it all to you right now.
Our first step is leveling up the rope.
So now we did intentionally choose a white rope as opposed to a darker rope. That's because we will ultimately use these for our wedding, but that is the one deviation that we had. To cut these initially, we are going to put some tape around the end. These are about 37 or so inches to start off with. We use the tape to keep them from unraveling. Now to level them up,
we're going to braid them with some twine. We're going to start off by basing it at the first knot that we're going to make and start twisting it counter to the braid that the natural cotton rope has.
That's right. If you started going the other way, you would actually get lost in those crevices, so you want to go across it first. We're not spacing this any particular way, but we are trying to make sure it's even. It's about a thumb's width for me. Close but not perfect was the goal here. And now we're going to actually go back across that, which we can do since we already have rope on the opposite way. So we're going to tie it off again to get it started, and then
go counter to the twist we've already made. It is keeping it nice and tight. We are trying to follow the line of the braiding of the cotton rope. It kind of helps sell it a little bit.
But this really does, this little bit of just adding twine around this cotton rope does elevate it so well. We love the way that this turned out. And now it's time to move on to the next step.
We're going to be making some wood pieces.
Now, we are using 1/4 inch maple in our Glowforge, but it is very important. You do not have to have a Glowforge to do this.
You can use a cheaper laser like an X tool. You can pull out your jigsaw. You can think about a router.
And you can also use your Cricut and layer up lots of chipboard if you want to go that route. That would require the Cricut Maker because chipboard needs the knife blade to be cut. So those are all options, just all proof that you don't have to have a Glowforge, but it was definitely faster and easier.
But if you do want a Glowforge, we have a link for a referral code in the description.
That's right. Now that will give you up to $500 off your purchase. If you'd like to pause here, these are the dimensions that we used for the outer, inner, and the rope holes. So once we cut several pieces, we're going to pull those out, and now we're going to glue them together.
First, we're just using some Gorilla Glue wood glue, and we're going to apply it thinly. I don't want too much squeezing out when I put the clamps on it.
We're trying to keep that nice charred dark edge on this and didn't want to have to sand any extra glue squeezing out.
So we have enough time to play with it and get all the wood aligned.
And you'll see we have one solid base and 2 rings for the base, and then we'll have a single ring for the upper part of this.
And of course, every good wood needs a sanding. We want it nice and smooth before we pull out and stain it. So we're going to sand it and then blow that sand off of it.
Blow the dust off of it, that's right. And this is an early American stain. This is a great neutral but dark stain that doesn't have a lot of orange in it, so it's one of our favorites to use.
So here we go with putting the structure together.
We had one that we put together to kind of get the feel for the heights that we wanted and how we wanted it to move together. So now we're going to show you how we created this, but we did run into that problem of it clanging. So we'll show you how we solved that in just a few.
Until then, we're just going to get the ropes set into the holes through the wood, and we're using this little blue string so we know our measurement.
That's right. Because we had one created exactly the way that we wanted it, we just used this string to show us knot to knot how long this should be. It's really important that these are equal and as similar as possible, especially if you have multiples.
And once you have your string telling you where to put your second knot, of course, you make a second knot. They're usually loose enough that you can push them around, but when you get it where you want it, you gotta give it a good tug and snug it down.
Yeah, it is hard to tie a knot at the right place, but that was really good that you did keep it loose until it was right where it needed to be. Now this is how we resolved that clanging.
We took some twine and we're just going to create little X crossing patterns with it. So we tie it around, we tie it in a knot, not a bow.
And we're going to add some glue to those knots to make sure they don't come undone before trimming off the extra strings.
And we're just going to test right here to make sure that the clanging stopped.
And it did, yay! You see we used 4 X's, which was the exact amount that we needed for this.
So here we have some burlap trim that we're going to use to lock the posture of the wood pieces in place.
So this little pack comes with 3 different ones. We just used the top one, but you can obviously use whichever ones you want. We cut them to about 5 inches a piece, and now we're going to get everything set.
We made a little jig that tells us how tall we want our first burlap to be at.
Nice. Now this is a great glue. It is Craft Bond from Elmer's. We love this. It goes on white, but it does dry clear. So don't worry if you get some everywhere. This is just to secure the rope in place, and then it will dry clear like that.
Now to keep everything clean, you should probably rub all the glue off your fingers before every time I'm doing this.
This was a little messy because it is not solid, but it really had the nice effect.
We're using the same theory also to lock the top round from sliding up, or else risk losing your vase to the whatever it may crash onto.
Yeah, you definitely need that to stay right where it is. Now we did notice that these X's did start to move, so we tightened them in place and then used some of this glue to keep them taut and in place, and we're going to use that same glue, we'll link everything down below, to put inside our knots. We trimmed everything super flush and put glue inside of it. Now you can see we have one above, one below, and we also did a set at the bottom as well as trimmed out our knots, and that is how we made our structure.
Now, flowers.
Daniel's favorite part.
Yay! There we have some twine twisted wire stuff. We're going to get a general shape around the vase itself. We want it to be a little bit larger. So we start off with it, we cut it to a length, and then just finish kind of braiding it. It's not really a braid, but
just wrapping it around. You want to give yourself a nice thick base to work with for the flowers, and so we just loosely wrapped it around. We did tape the end to keep it from unraveling, and you're never going to see that, so we just left the tape on it. So once we had the ring, we like it nice and big, just like that. And now it's time for flowers. So all this in front of us here, the flowers and the floral tape, and of course that twine came from the Dollar Tree. This smaller wire did not, but they do carry something similar.
So we're beheading the flowers.
They popped off in little clusters, which is really nice.
Absolutely. And we're just going to use this wire to bring the stems a little closer together to kind of cluster the flowers.
Kinda, yeah. So we did actually wire a couple of the individual stems in the bunch to give us room to maneuver them, but then we did bring them together as a bunch and then trimmed off the end to give us a little nub. So we have some movement with the wire on a couple of stems, but then as you can see here, brought them all together and cut off the extra little nub. We just want them to be very close to the vase, and the longer that stem is, the further they would have been and the more you would have seen that rope structure.
So this is floral tape. It is otherwise not sticky until you give it a little tension. We're doing this not only to hide the wire a little bit, but she doesn't like being stabbed.
No. So we did several of those. Now obviously working in the pink, we do this in white. We'll get to the white in just a second, but this was quite frankly our better footage to show you how we did it. Now since we have those little wire tails, we just start wrapping this around. There's no rhyme or reason other than we kept everything on top of the rope just for uniformity.
But here you can see the white. Now in the
Inspiration.
In the inspiration, they showed like some of the flowers like doing this little droopy lingering effect.
Yes.
So we added a couple others in a few places to give it that overlapping look.
Right, so we did the white ring just like the pink one and then added in these extra pieces.
Now we also want to hide the framework at the top of it, so we put out the good old trusty hot glue gun. We named it Elmer.
Okay. And we just glued those in place. And now if you remember, the inspiration did have some orchids. Dollar Tree had yellow ones, not green, but hey, close enough, right? So we wired those up just like every other flower that we've wired and start twisting them in.
And look at those nice little 5 elegantly placed pops of color.
Yeah. And now the final result. We did actually find this candle at the Dollar Tree as well, and the sticks
we found in our backyard.
Yay! So now we're going to give us a little flower crown. And this turned out so well, as you can see, with the white flowers like the inspiration. The pink is also pretty with some Dollar Tree shells. Or you could use other florals not from the Dollar Tree. We hope you enjoyed this video and really saw how it's possible to create some pretty elevated decor, whether it's for your home, your wedding, or another event.
And if it did, then you should give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, ring the bell. If you have any amazing Dollar Tree finds, you should tell us about it in the comment line. And of course, know that, well, whatever we can list in the description will be listed in the description.
Also down in that description are links to all of our social handles. Please connect with us across platforms. We love hearing from you. And don't forget to check out our blog at justmightdiy.com. Thanks for watching.